Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario. This is
Greg Hendrick.
And we are the Jazz Nerds. Today, we are reviewing this very cool live album that came out a few years ago. I think 2010 was when it originally came out.
Right.
But this is a reissue or an expanded edition that came out just for vinyl, which came out in March of 2022. So,
And Matt, when it was recorded, these were all live sessions. Is that right? This was not a studio, which is phenomenal that this was done live.
Yeah, it was recorded over 2 days in London, and this was the drummer here was a fill-in drummer.
Right.
From what they usually have, and they only had, from my understanding, one gig before the ones where they started recording. So they're very. It's unbelievable, really. This is an unbelievable album.
And we'll get into the drummer who was filling in, the regular drummer, who's also a phenomenal player.
Yes. So here, nice gatefold for all of you vinyl fans out there. Excellent. Check that out. Yeah. Excellent pressing. So for everybody out there who's a vinyl collector, it's a live recording, but it sounds absolutely fantastic, and it comes on this beautiful blue, aqua blue looking vinyl. 2 records, and again, you get 2 bonus tracks on this that are not available on the original. An untitled song and the last song on the album, which is "Smoking the Camel," is a bonus track. So we've got 10 tracks on here. We're going to talk about the album, but first we're going to talk a little bit about the band, when they were formed, who the players are, and then talk a little bit about each of the people that are playing on this album. Again, we've talked about, that the drummer was kind of the fill-in drummer, but no less phenomenal, I think, than their other drummer as well.
Yeah. Well, what struck me again with this, it's this European style of experimental, fusiony, next level jazz, right? It's not like our traditional standards that we hear a lot, and we hear it a lot of the clubs in the US, right? This is very edgy, very modern, very complicated, very difficult music. Yeah, I think. Yeah, right. For the casual viewer,
listener. Yeah.
It really requires some attention because there's so many details in this, right?
But even though there are some, I found some catchy things the more I listened to it. Some things that kind of hooked you in.
Right, some of the bass melodies.
And the piano melodies on a couple of the tracks, and so it does have an ability to hook you in, but it doesn't leave you in any one. It takes you kind of on a journey, kind of like almost classical music does in a sense.
Yeah, that's a good analogy right there.
But this band was formed in 2005, and they've been performing primarily across Europe, and they've toured in festivals all over the world: Brazil, the United States. They are a trio. So Jasper Hoiby, I think is how you pronounce his name. Right. The person who formed the band, he's the bass player. Absolutely phenomenal bass player. And if you're interested in watching them play, you can go on YouTube and type in Phronesis, and you can see. Type in Phronesis Live, and you'll see them playing live. And actually, 3 tracks from this particular album were actually taped on video, and they're amazing to watch.
Well, let me just state real quick. If you do type in Phronesis, you'll get the definition,
right?
Which I wasn't aware of, but I'll share that. And this was from Wikipedia. It's from the Greek, and it means it's a type of wisdom or intelligence relevant to practical action. It implies both good judgment and excellence of character and habits, and was a common topic of discussion in ancient Greek philosophy.
Yeah, so really it pertains to practical understanding, good judgment, sound judgment.
Yeah, it makes sense. They've lived up to the name.
Yes.
For sure.
So the original lineup of the band is Jasper Hoiby on bass, Magnus Horth on piano, and Anton Eger on drums. Their debut release was called Organic Warfare from Loop Records. They do have a very distinct sound, very unique grooves. 2009, their original piano player was replaced by a guy named Ivo Neem. How do you think it's Neem?
Yeah, he's done a lot with them though.
And this is really the lineup that continues to this day. This was a very unique situation because on the album we're reviewing today, the drummer Mark Giuliano, who fills in on drums, was there because Ager was not able to make that particular live session. He had another engagement that he couldn't get out of.
And they found the right guy at the right time.
They did.
I mean, Giuliano, he's performed with a lot of big names, including David Bowie. He did the last album, Black Star, and he's a master of several genres: electric, rock, jazz, experimental. Definitely a consummate performer at the highest level.
You can hear it playing here in the background a little bit. I'm gonna turn it up and then turn it back down. But
nice timing on that. Yeah, you get to hear some of these fills that are just incredible.
All three of them are just amazing players. So let's get into each of these individuals and talk about the musicians here. We're going to talk about, first of all, the former of the band, Jasper Højby, who was born in 1977 in Copenhagen, Denmark. Started to play double bass as a teenager in Denmark, then moved to the UK in 2001 to study at the Royal Academy of Music in London, where he got into the whole London jazz scene there. He says he got into the Royal Academy by luck. When he was a teenager, he was into hip hop, but he said he got disenchanted with it overall. And even though a lot of the rhythmic influences are there in his bass playing, he says that he kind of got out of the whole hip hop thing, then got into transcribing records. And Avishai Cohen, if you're not familiar with him, another fantastic bass player, that was really his modern influence on double bass playing, is learning from him. He's another phenomenal player that we should talk about in the future. He says he did not receive any classical training. He likes odd meters. He feels comfortable with odd meters, which you can tell.
That for sure.
He says, I write songs on things I can't play. If there's a key I don't know well, I'll write a song. And if there's a meter I'm not feeling well, I don't have a handle on it, I'll try to write a song with that particular odd meter. He writes songs primarily on the bass, but also on the piano. And if you're not familiar with a lot of jazz players, a lot of them are very familiar with the piano.
Okay.
Like Dizzy Gillespie would talk about that all the time.
Right,
if you don't know the piano, you're not going to be a good musician, no matter what instrument you're playing. Anyways, I found that to be interesting. He says that the song can be based on a melody or even just a rhythm to start out with. He likes the trio format because you have a lot of space for everybody to play, a lot of freedom. So he's got 8 albums as a leader and many collaborations. And so he's been around for a while now. And
there was a quote from Mojo, a review, and I think they summed it up succinctly. They said, Højby fashions his pieces so the lines between freedom and form are beautifully blurred. The music flows as a tumultuous organic whole. Everything belongs, nothing is forced.
Yeah.
And again, that goes into the whole philosophy behind the music, which I like that you're always exploring that. You know, what's the general thesis of their music? Where does it come from? How does it resonate with who they are as an artist?
Yeah, and pretty impressive in my opinion. His playing is very impressive, and again, it's not just the technicality, the technical part of it, the virtuosity that's required,
right?
But it's how do you apply that virtuosity to be musical. That's the what's hard. That's what's very difficult.
Yes, and to find originality within that.
Exactly.
I think here's the perfect example of finding its own sound, its unique sound in that journey of composing that is fresh, that is new, that is compelling.
Yeah.
We talked about Mark, right?
Talked about Jasper. Now we're going to talk about Ivo Neem, born in 1981, British jazz pianist and composer. So he's the piano player for Phronesis. In addition to leading his own bands, he's been a member of several European jazz groups, including, of course, Phronesis. He's also done other ones, the Marius Nisek Quartet, the Kyrios Quartet. He's a professor of jazz, a piano at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. And he attended King's School in Canterbury, studied jazz saxophone at London's Royal Academy of Music in a year that included pianist Willem Simcock, who was a member of, he was mentored by a guy named Martin Speake, and Steve Buckley, and who was a founder of the Baroque school in Milton. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. Myrmecides?
Sounds right. Sounds Greek.
Anyway, sounds Greek. It says he's played on more than 40 albums as a sideman and the leader, tours regularly with his own quintet, does solo piano as well, but also, of course, plays with Phronesis, is a member of Phronesis.
Right.
And he was made an associate of the Royal Academy of Music in 2013.
Okay.
So he's very esteemed, it seems like.
For sure.
And then now we have the drummer, the fill-in drummer, right? Which, again, amazes me because this is live. So when you listen to this record, you have to keep that in mind. They didn't go back and re-record anything. They didn't fix anything, to my knowledge. This is a live record, and it makes it all the more amazing. Mark Juliana, born 1980, a Grammy-nominated American drummer, composer, leader of the band called Beat Music. He plays drums, percussion instruments, piano, synthesizers, the moog, bass, drum programming. He does spoken word performances. He's played with Abishai Cohen, Brad Meldau, of course, one of the great jazz piano players, David Bowie, Tigran Hamayasin, who
another guy
we did
we
the last,
yeah.
St. Vincent, pop rock player. You're in the, of course, European Phronesis, the trio here that we're talking about. He's played in. He was born and raised in New Jersey. Attended the William Patterson University, where he graduated in 2003 with a jazz studies and performance. His conceptual approach to the instrument is also featured in Meliana, the electronic duo featuring Brad Meldau on keyboards and synthesizers. If you haven't heard Meldau, fantastic piano player. From his website, he says, no matter the focus of a particular album or project, Juliana's music blends those three major influences in varying balances: the raw power and intensity of hard rock, the spiritual questing of John Coltrane, and the aggressive music curiosity of Miles Davis, the brain-twisting manipulations and cut-up hybridizations of Square Pusher and Aphex Twin are examples.
Whoever that is.
So I haven't got a chance to really get into his other works, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty cutting edge. Some of the electric stuff.
You said you listened to some of his, right?
With Brad Meldau. Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys are really brilliant guys. They really are brilliant. So now we're going to get into the album, and we're going to actually review the record, talk about it. This is the group's first album on Edition Records, and a lot of these we've been doing. Tanika's, her album was Edition Records. Several of these we've done have been on Edition Records.
Right.
And so this was the first recording that was on there, and it was interesting because they talk in some of these write-ups on these magazines. They said that this is flawless in execution, driven by some of the most infectious and compelling music written in recent years. And this extraordinary recording became one of the most talked about live piano trio releases of recent memory. It was awarded Album of the Year in 2010 by both Mojo and Jazzwise magazine, and voted Jazzwise magazine's #1 jazz album of the last 5 years. So that's pretty impressive. So this has been a highly praised record, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get it and listen to it. So we're going to go into the record now. It was recorded live at the Forge Arts venue in London on the 3rd and 4th of March 2010 by a guy named Matt Robertson. It was mixed and mastered by August Wangren in April and May of 2010 at the We Know Studios Islands in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Okay.
So
overall, has it been reissued? Is this reissue since 2010, or is this?
This is the reissue.
This is the reissue.
This is the 2022 reissue on vinyl expanded edition.
Gotcha. Okay.
And to my knowledge, it may be on CD too. I'm not sure, but I think they put it out first, especially for vinyl record, for the expanded with the 2 additional songs on it. Excellent. So overall thoughts. What were your initial thoughts on this?
Mind bending. I mean, it's pace, its intensity, its quality, its complexity. It really requires some focus, I found, when listening. It moves around a lot. A lot of the songs have different sections, and it might be just piano, it might be just bass, and then the drums come in and pick up the pace, but they move around it. These are all, I mean, they're epic songs. Some are 13 minutes, 12 minutes, 14 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack with every song, with every movement within the song. I was just blown away by it.
Yeah, I wrote out a little, because as I was listening to it over the last few weeks, I thought that the compositions were very well thought out. They were very rich. They're very engaging. They carry many moods.
Yeah.
They award the listener with hours of listening experience beyond the recording, because you have to listen to it many times. I found it kind of reminiscent to the Bill Evans trios in the kind of elegance of musicianship, but not necessarily the deliverance.
Right.
If that makes sense. I really couldn't stop listening to it, and especially a couple of the songs that I'm going to talk about. The virtuosity here is pretty incredible, but it's not done for the sake of pyrotechnics and to make you look like you're a brilliant player. The virtuosity here is very musical, and it merges together really well with the musical phrasing. It's very unique, I thought. And the fact that it's a live performing again is all the more astonishing for me. And I was kind of on the edge of my seat really the first couple times I was listening to it, because it's almost like a roller coaster ride in a lot of senses. For me, kind of really takes you on this journey.
Yeah, this one really grabbed you from the get-go.
Yeah.
I remember you playing the first track and just being really moved by it. And usually some of these newer jazz artists don't grab you the way this one did.
Yeah, this one did.
But what do you think it was about it that really hooked you?
The grooves, the way it just took you on a musical journey, and also you can't get everything these guys are playing. Maybe that's more, I don't know if it's more being a musician that you're trying to listen to what these guys are doing. Maybe that's more distracting at times than maybe just the person who's just listening to the record. I don't know. But because you'll hear the drummer doing something incredible, and you just immediately go, wow, what the heck
How's
is he
doing this?
And you
How
just
is this
completely
even
lose
possible?
track of you still hear it, but you kind of focus on this particular thing going on, and you just miss the cool bass stuff that's going on right along with it.
Right.
So I thought that really caught my attention. I was like, wow. And then the piano player, it's amazing. These are just three people. You go to a regular trio, blues trio or power rock trio. It's not, there might be some amazing players that play that stuff, and it's fun to listen to, but you can kind of grasp everything that's going on. Right. Without having to stop and go, wow, what happened there? And then go back. This is not the case with this. And I think that was something that caught my attention right off the bat.
There's certainly the wow factor to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you need to listen several times to catch up to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because you'll hear these breaks, these fills or a movement, and it'll leave you somewhat breathless.
Well, let's listen to this. Let's just listen to the beginning of this.
Which one's this? This is
Abraham's
New Gift. All right, first track, yeah. Listen to that.
It's brilliant. This guy's one heck of a bass player, right?
Incredible.
And all three of them are.
And it's somewhere between a Latin style, a world beat style.
Yeah. It caught my attention right away.
And then you have this little break.
And this whole song here is a roller coaster ride. Anyway, we can sit here and listen to this, the whole thing, and nothing would make you happier. But let's get back in and talk about the songs on the record. We're going to dive into it. So you've got basically, I think, 10 songs total with the bonus tracks, I believe. Let me verify that here. Yep, 10. The first song is one that was not included on the original, which is just a kind of an introduction track called Untitled Number 1. And basically it's just kind of an introduction, giving you a little taste, laid back, getting into the groove, a nice little melody, nothing too intense, barely a small taste of what's to come. it's like, yeah, so the first track is just kind of getting a little taste of what's getting ready to come in the next song called Blue Inspiration, which is 11 minutes long.
Yeah. I found Blue Inspiration really moving. Waves of piano bliss over a walking bass line, light cymbals, punchy fills, multiple passages, and it's just brimming with counter-tempo cadences and rapid drum fills. It's just really interesting the way it's put together. I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah, it starts off with a really nice melodic bass line, beautiful interplay between the people. That's another thing that's very fun to listen to. It's engaging mid-tempo, trip through time and space where all three players really have a chance to stretch out. I found the piano melody to be quite memorable, yet it doesn't stay in one place. It kind of moves. An incredible playing. Again, like what I was saying, it's nearly impossible to pick up what all three of these guys are doing, and then this really begins the intense musical journey that this whole album will become.
Right. Yeah, you
a lot of creative phrasing, a lot of dynamics.
Yeah. If you get through this one, because it's 11 minutes, you're in it for the ride.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're hooked at this point.
Yeah. Then you got the next one called French, which is over 8.5 minutes. Mid-tempo tune. The drums immediately caught my attention with kind of those offbeat rhythms.
Yeah, he's doing so many interesting not rim shot necessarily, but just playing the rims of the snare, of the toms, even the side of the drums. He's just taking full advantage of every sound that a kid offers.
Yeah.
It's a bit Latin, it's a bit fusiony, but there's also a mysterious element to this song as well. It's engaging. You're wondering what's happening around the corner.
Yeah, so you got 8.5 minutes here again, and they take advantage of the space and the time to really build the song into the next one, which is called 8 Hours. And I thought this was a little more of a straight ahead form to this one called 8 Hours.
Yeah,
a little slower,
nicely placed there, because it gives you some time to breathe. A lot of complex cymbal work though.
Yeah.
And again, some more of these rim shots that are just, it's amazing what he's doing. It's if you're a drummer, you're gonna love this.
Then you got the next one, which is one of my favorites, is Abraham's New Gift at just over 10 minutes. I went back and listened to this, and on YouTube you can watch him play live, which I thought was phenomenal.
I saw some of that.
And you can hear the crowd yell, like a little bit.
They're into it.
And when he's playing the drums,
engaged.
especially when it comes towards the end, and he's
jamming on that thing, man, and it's primal, it's raw.
This is like the drums on this run the gamut. I mean, this is really the rhythmic interplay on this is phenomenal.
Next level.
I put Juliana's playing Defies the Ear. His ending flourish on the tune puts you in the back of your chair.
Right.
The
last
drum
last
solo.
couple minutes in this.
I mean, what'd you think as a drummer? Let me just watch this guy.
I was in awe. I haven't heard anything quite like it. Dave Weckl does a few things like that, but yeah, it's just really incredible playing.
So that was one of my favorites of Abraham's New Gift. Rue Chink Diamonds, how do you pronounce
How
this?
you say it?
I don't know.
So. Yeah.
I'm not too good on that. It's about a little over 6 minutes. It's the next track that comes after it. It starts with a slow piano motif, drums coming in alongside, very moody, ambient sounding. Bass comes in halfway through, and then three begin to kind of play off one another, but it's a little bit more of a moody. What'd you think of that one?
Yeah, meditative. I think every album needs a few rainy day tracks. This was their rainy day track. Right. It's a good, just reflective.
You have to bring the intensity down a little bit.
Yeah, relaxing. You're journeying within. A little bit brooding, but again, soul searching.
Yeah.
You want to have these kind of numbers.
Introspective.
An introspective ballad-like number.
Yeah, and then it goes right into another song that kind of switches around. Happy Notes at a little over 10 minutes, which you kind of get this more of a mid-tempo, uplifting, laid-back sound, right?
Right. There's a little more color in this piece. Definitely lighter. You feel like you're dancing on a cloud, and again, just hats off to Mark on just these counter rhythms that he throws in there, the cymbal work, and the quickness of his fills too. Yeah, just amazing stuff.
The next one's Love Song at 14 minutes. I really like this one a lot too. I really enjoyed this. It starts off with a real cool bass riff with the piano joining soon after. The bass and piano play back and forth. The drums come in with some very interesting rhythm and textures, I thought, including those what they sound like rim shots or hitting the sticks against the side, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Gives almost a Latin tinge to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some great bass runs on here. But this thing really builds up and gets intense too.
Yeah, it crescendos nicely into pretty much an all-out jam. And,
yeah, a little more traditional jazz. I mean, if you could say that. Right?
Yeah. For these guys, it's probably as traditional as we hear on the album. But I love how the piano, when it begins, it's offsetting the bass pattern. So they're really synchronized, and again, it's amazing to me how they did this live.
Yeah, it is astounding.
Yeah,
it is astounding.
That was the mind.
So yeah, I like that one a lot. The next one I thought was kind of more of a traditional sounding piece as well, called it was Untitled number 2 at 7 minutes and 14 seconds. I thought the piano playing kind of really caught my attention on this. I thought it was very beautiful piano playing.
Yeah,
on that.
Right. It was just a nice track all the way around. I didn't have anything as far as like edginess goes. Just an enjoyable piece.
And the final track, Smoking the Camel, which is a bonus track at almost 14 minutes. I like this one a lot. This is by my second favorite one. I thought an astonishing piece of music that has rich textures. It originally kind of produces this almost meditative atmosphere, but about 3.5 minutes in, you get these drum solos that just he kind of starts filling in with all this amazing. I don't know what he's doing. But it's about 2 minutes he just plays by himself.
Yeah.
And then they come back in and the song intensifies with all three of them. It kind of picks up some steam.
That's right.
And then about 9.5 minutes into the track, you get another intense drum solo. Then it goes about 3 minutes before you get to this crescendo that ends the show, right?
Yeah. What's phenomenal about it is how he's keeping time. He's playing off the rhythm, or he's playing off the pattern. And he's adding just accents that go outside of time, right?
Yeah.
But he's doing one sense of time over the other. I mean, it's
this is
to replicate
journey.
That. I think would be next to impossible. Can you imagine that? Trying to write that out?
Yeah, exactly. So and it's a great ending to the record. I mean, this is really a musical journey. To me, this album is not meant. This to me is you sit down and listen to it from beginning to end for the most part. I mean, there were I went back and listened to Abraham's New Gift in this particular song over multiple times just because there were certain things in there that blew me away. I was like, let me go back and listen to that. Wow, listen to those drums. Listen to the piano there. Listen to the bass there.
Yeah. Oh, it's
amazing. You can spend hours going through that, listening to this over and over again to hear what these guys are doing in the improvisation, which is very impressive. Really. So this is one that I would give it 9.5. That's how much.
Wow, folks, and that does not throw those out lightly.
That's really
huge
good
for you, man. I think that's your highest rated album.
I really liked
to date.
I really liked it. So, what would you give it?
I'm going the Fellini 8.5.
Okay,
yeah, so thought it was great. And again, it would be one thing if it had one magnus opus on it. But this has 2 or 3, right? Like
I would say
Abraham's New Gift is one.
Love Song,
Smoking the Camel is one, right?
There's like 3 strong that are 10 to 13 and 14 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, and worth all the bang for the buck, right?
And then you've got these nice things in between that are by no means throwaways.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'd love to see these guys live.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah,
I would too.
They came to town, anywhere near town. Yeah, I'm going to see them. Come to the States, guys.
Yeah,
tour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, you got anything else to add before we close this out?
That's it, man. That is
I'm gonna
buy the album.
I'm gonna close out here with the end of the. Actually, you know what we're gonna do?
I would say camel.
Oh, it's not on this particular
it's
thing
not,
on
is it?
Amazon, is it?
Of
No,
course, I had to
of course
call
not.
out that one, didn't I?
We're gonna
But
just
dude, the drum playing in that's so wicked. So wicked.
play just a little bit of this one. Love
Yeah.
song. Doesn't matter where you go on these tracks. You're gonna. To me, I was just captivated. Just want to hear what they're doing.
And how about the recording? It's so crisp, isn't
It's
it?
a good recording for live.
Yeah.
Sounds great on record. Piano player, bass. Anyway, we're gonna close out on that, guys. We're gonna see you on the next Jazz Nerds. Thanks for joining us.
Ciao, guys.